Cheers, guys, and welcome to Uncle Scott's Pancast. In the Pancast today, we're going to talk about the gas stove ban. Proposed or otherwise, it is a big deal. They are coming for your stoves. Got some articles and feedback we're going to go through about that. If that does not turn into a rant and we have more time, I'm going to go through, we're going to take a look at this copper diffuser plate I got from Duparquet. Also some sharpening stones from Yaxel, and perhaps even more. Okay, let's start out talking about the gas stove ban and whether it's a proposed ban or if it's actually in the works. Do people actually want to come and take your stoves away? I put up a poll here on Uncle Scott's Kitchen and asked people, should gas stoves be banned? Yes or no? Yes, 11%, and 89%, pretty much 90%, 9 out of 10 people say that gas stoves should not be banned. So not surprising, we're kind of a cooking channel. We like higher end cookware and cooking experiences around here. So that's not terribly surprising from the Uncle Scott's Kitchen audience here. I also asked, should people who cook with gas stoves form a political action committee to defend our rights? Here it was a little bit more mixed. Yes, 64%, no, 36%. I don't know if this is going to be necessary or not. There are some trade groups kind of lobbying on the side of the gas stoves now, and it may not be necessary, but who knows? We'll have to see what we're going to have to do to defend our rights around here. Now, I want to say up front here that I am not opposed to anybody that wants to cook on an electric stove, an induction stove, a coil stove, whatever kind of stove you like. I am all about the cookware and the cooking experience and good food, and I like higher end stuff in the kitchen, but you can cook on whatever you want. My problem is with bans and mandates. As a matter of fact, I review a lot of cookware around here, and I'm one of the only sites, I may be the only one, that reviews cookware on all the major cooktops. I review cookware on gas. I've got an electric stove in the basement. You guys have seen my other videos. And I also bought that induction burner to review cookware on all the cooktops. So I am not telling anybody what they should cook on. I try to do my reviews so that whatever you cook on, you can get the best information about what kind of cookware to use. So you do whatever you want. My problem with all this stuff is bans and mandates. The problem with bans and mandates is what they are trying to mandate we use in our kitchens is not as good as what we have now. I want to bring up a good example here. And as Mark Twain once said, there's nothing more annoying than a good example. But about 20 years ago, I bought a Sony Trinitron TV. The thing had to weigh 200 pounds. This was in the day before the flat screens, before HD, before 4K, definitely. Had to weigh 200 pounds. That thing cost $2,800. For its day, it was a fantastic television. I think it was a 36-inch, maybe a 40-inch TV. Took 2 of us to move the doggone thing. These days, you walk into Costco, walk into Sam's, walk into Best Buy, and it's just a glorious wall of flat screens. You can get a TV that is 60, 70, 80 inches wide, 4K, 8K, definitely HD. They're thinner, they're lighter, they use less energy, and they only cost $600, $700. So you get a better, bigger TV for a fourth the price of those older TVs. It's a fantastic deal. No one had to ban my old TV and put a mandate on that I go and buy one of the new ones. I gladly went and spent the money for the one that is better and cheaper. What they are advocating for replacing these gas cooktops are not better and arguably not even cheaper. Now, one reason I got my induction burner is I had so many people with induction stovetops write me and tell me that the stoves were ruining their cookware. They warp good pans. So if you force a lot of people to replace gas stoves with induction cooktops, you're going to ruin a lot of cookware. So I am opposed to bans. If you want me to get rid of my beautiful gas cooktop here that works fantastically, give me something better and cheaper, and you won't have to have a ban or a mandate. I will gladly switch, but until that time, I want to keep what I have. Now, there is some debate amongst people that watch Uncle Scott's Kitchen as to whether this gas stove ban or proposed ban is even an issue. We actually started talking about it around here. I think it was in September or October of last year when we started talking about those redesigned Matfer carbon steel skillets. Remember, one of the reasons Matfer said that they put that bow in the bottom of those redesigned carbon steels is they are concerned that the gas stoves may be going away, and they're trying to get their pans ready for these flat top cooktops. So I heard that directly from a pan manufacturer, so it is an actual issue there. What happened a couple of weeks ago is someone from the CPSC, which I think is Consumer Product Safety Commission, talked about banning stoves, and that got blown up. There was a big stink, and some people thought, well, it was just an offhand comment, was not really a real proposed ban. So was that an offhand comment, or was that advancing the ball? Was it a trial balloon? I don't know, but we're all talking about gas stove bans now, and we're feeling good because, well, maybe the ones we have now will be grandfathered in. Nobody wants to take your stove, right? Wrong. People do actually want to take your stoves away. They want to remove all combustion appliances. So it's not just your gas stove. It's the gas logs in your fireplace. It's your furnace. It's your hot water heater. It's your clothes dryer. It could be a tremendous burden for a lot of people. Don't think you're getting out of this because you're grandfathered in. What they will do is change building codes so that someday if you want to sell your house 5-10 years from now, your house will not be up to code. You will have to rip everything out and replace it all just to be able to sell your house. Is that a $50,000 tax on a normal American house? I don't know, but you're not getting out of it just because things are grandfathered in. You're just delaying the problem. So a lot of people watching Uncle Scott's Kitchen are not even concerned that this is an issue. I brought it up last time and I got some feedback. Let's see, Garbled Stoic wrote in and said, I am fanning the flames of social media inspired misinformation, misinformation, and says I'm lying to people to monetize my channel. You mad, bro? Quaker Wildcat says some members of the media can't help spreading rumors and fueling flames of division to boost clicks. And Justin Imlay says, luckily the whole gas stove thing is fake news. Is it really fake news? People thought maybe that was just an offhand comment from the CPSC a couple weeks ago that got blown out of proportion. But I just want to say that CNN, U.S. federal agency, is considering a ban on gas stoves. New York Times, ban gas stoves. Just the idea gets Washington boiling. Time Magazine, what the potential ban on gas stoves means if you have one. Also Bloomberg, more New York Times, New York Post. Everyone is talking about this, and they've since done some, Freedom of Information Act requests. It turns out that wasn't just an offhand comment by the CPSC. There were actually plans in the works. This article from Time Magazine just yesterday says U.S. Energy Department wades into the gas stove debate. This is an article by Ari Nader, and I'll put links to all this stuff below, these articles that I'm commenting on. And a quote from this article, it says, gas stoves are coming under fresh scrutiny as a second federal agency has now stepped into the political firestorm. It goes on to say, it's the coffee pot going off. They're considering setting first-of-their-kind limits on energy consumption for stoves, drawing fear from the industry that the regulation could effectively end the use of some products from the market. And later on in the article, they're talking about ending the use of 95% of the products in the market. And in a rare show of bipartisanship, Manchin, a Democrat, and Cruz, a Republican, have come out with some sort of Defend Your Gas Stoves Act that is going to be debated in Congress. So this is absolutely a deal. It is a big deal, and it's going to affect anybody that uses a gas stove. So do we think it's a real issue or not yet? I think it is. About a year and a half ago, or in 2021, the New York Times, in one of their Wirecutter articles, written by Liam McCabe, should you ditch your gas stove? They're pretty sanguine about it. So let's see what they were saying in 2021 and see if it sounds like a big deal and see what's changed. This Wirecutter article, a couple of quotes here. If you've been spooked by the stories urging you to kill your gas stove because it poses hidden dangers that are bad for you and the planet, you don't actually need to freak out. Says the provocative headlines have cooked up a scare that we don't think is warranted. New York Times Wirecutter. The scare is not warranted. Gas cooking doesn't deserve as much climate-related ire as it's been getting lately because it represents a tiny part of household energy use and carbon emissions. They go on to say that gas stoves only account for about 3% of household gas usage. So it's not a very big deal. And he goes on to say switching from gas to a standard electric stove in 2021 might not even reduce your carbon emissions at all because you don't know where the electricity is coming from. Is it coming from a coal burning power plant? Who knows? And here I think is the money quote for the whole article, especially as it relates to all the hysteria we've seen in the last couple of weeks about how supposedly dangerous gas stoves are. It says the bigger picture is that any kind of indoor cooking creates ultrafine particles and volatile organic compounds that are linked to health problems, even if you're using an electric or induction stovetop. So the New York Times, through their Wirecutter, pretty sanguine about gas stoves 18 months ago or so. What has happened in the meantime? I think we need to reference this article from the Wall Street Journal written by Kimberly Strassel in the last week. Let's see, January 26, 2023, the campaign to ban gas stoves. Talking about the media denies it exists, but the effort is calculated and well funded. She says there is a coordinated, calculated, and well-funded strategy to kill them off. She goes on to say there are well-funded groups that they know Americans are not going to willingly give up their gas stoves, and they've hit upon an idea of contradicting decades of science and ginning up hokey studies claiming gas stoves present a, quote, health risk. Now, one of these reports was in Consumer Reports magazine. She says that the Climate Imperative Foundation, their tax filings show a $375,000 donation to Consumer Reports. I went to Consumer Reports and got the gas stove article that they produced. And if I could find it here. Consumer Reports, is your gas range a health risk? Kind of a loaded headline there. Down at the bottom, it says, editor's note, this project was funded in part with a grant from the Climate Imperative Foundation. Now, let's jump over and talk about Consumer Reports for a minute. I always considered them to be one of those almost gold standard type review magazines because they don't accept products for free. They would buy the products. They didn't accept advertising. And I considered their reviews to be pretty unbiased. This article from Kimberly Strassel says they took $375,000 from a foundation with a dog in the hunt that is opposed to gas stoves, and they produce an article about gas stoves and health risks. So if someone were to ask me what is the value of Consumer Reports' credibility, my guess right now would be about $375,000. For me now, it's pretty much zero. They have gone down a notch in my book. Now they say that gas stoves are used in about 40% of American households. If you assume we have 330 million people in America, we're talking about this affecting 130 million people or so. That's a lot of people. A lot of money might be changing hands, swapping out these appliances. And one of the reasons they are citing for the need to get rid of these gas stoves is this Consumer Reports article. Do you think Consumer Reports, they do a lot of unbiased testing, right? Guess how many stoves they tested? If you read the article, they tested two stoves. We're going to make a decision for 130 million people based on 2 data points. Now, are 2 data points enough? On one hand, maybe so. On the other hand, is it possible that they took a big donation from a climate group and produced an article that coincidentally has a headline that group might capitalize on? I don't know. The Consumer Reports really lost a lot of credibility in my eyes anyway. And I have to say that sadly, unfortunately, these hysterical articles are very effective. People they hear 1 or 2 sentences or they just read the headline. They don't read the entire article. I cook dinner, Sunday dinner, for my in-laws pretty much every Sunday for the last 6 years using this stove. This past Sunday, my father-in-law came in and said, "Did you hear how dangerous these stoves are?" Dangerous. They have redefined gas stoves in a lot of people's minds as dangerous. Now, I don't think they're dangerous. And let's remember, in that New York Times Wirecutter article, 2021, not that long ago, pretty sanguine about gas stoves, didn't seem like all that big of a deal. They're talking about some of the health risks being kind of overblown. What has happened in the meantime? Some well-connected, well-funded groups are now spending money and lobbying politicians. They're very effective, but make no mistake about it, they are coming for your stoves. So this has turned into a bit of a griping rant fest. Kind of know what it's like to be my wife for a few minutes now. But I don't think we're going to have time in this Pancast to get to all the other stuff. I'm going to break this in 2 parts. Thank you for watching this part. We'll see you again next time in part 2 of this Uncle Scott's Pancast.